Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. I'm Natasha. To start this out, I just started reading The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I actually just finished it today. And I do have the other two books in the series, The Hawthorne Legacy, which I plan on starting today, and The Final Gambit. I just kind of wanted to go over just kind of a brief synopsis on what The Inheritance Games is about. I honestly don't usually read the backs of books or read that much into them before I pick them up and start reading. Sometimes it's for benefit, and other times it's kind of, you don't really know what you are getting into, to say. This book kind of follows a young girl named Avery. She ends up getting put into a will of an old man that she knows nothing about. This man has 4 grandsons, and that's kind of who she's going on this journey with. He loved riddles and puzzles and games, kind of grew up conditioning his grandsons to be able to figure those things out. She kind of gets thrown into this world of millionaires, and she kind of follows this journey to try and figure out his big secret. Like, why did she get this inheritance? Why is she here? Kind of what is her connection to him? I will say that I didn't know that it was going to be more of a young adult kind of mystery. The chapters are super short. Some of them are only 1 page long. Yeah, some of them, like this chapter is literally a page long. It's a very fast-paced read, and I did really enjoy it. I'm thinking maybe a 3.75 for the rating on this book. I kind of love the story. There's kind of 2 different romances going on here. It's kind of leaning both ways, like, oh, I shouldn't be thinking like this, but I am. Really kind of hopping back and forth between 2 of the brothers, which is kind of interesting and fascinating. At the end of the book, there is kind of a big thing, like this big key moment once they figure out one of the main puzzles, like kind of the big puzzle that they were working on, which I'm interested to see where that leads to in the next book, which is why I'm excited to start that. Definitely more on the young adult side, but still a really good read. I'm gonna go ahead and start up. This probably took me a few days to read, mainly between yesterday and the day before. Finished, I think, like half the book today, if I'm being honest. So super quick, easy, fast-paced read, enjoyable book. Can't really go too much into that without giving any spoilers. So I think right now I'm gonna go ahead and pick up the Hawthorne Legacy and start reading that, just because I have the story so fresh in my mind. Once I kind of read a little bit more through that, I'll give you guys an update. So it's actually the next day. I didn't get to spend too much time reading yesterday of Hawthorne Legacy. I'm about 60 pages into it, and can I just say that I really like that Jennifer Lynn Barnes actually went straight into the story, continuing the last one. Some books I know usually have a good chunk of time that's passed since the last book to the second book, and she just went straight into it. It was about a week after the last book ended. I will say that this one is a little bit more focused on poems and trying to figure those out for the kind of grandsons and Avery. It's still continuing with the same characters and same story, just the grandfather and kind of the whole mystery that's being solved into this one definitely takes more of a poem based rather than like puzzles in the last book. I'm definitely enjoying the puzzle aspect of it, and even just 60 pages into it, they actually just had a pretty major moment and a key solved from the last book into this book. Kind of one of the major kind of plot twists right at the end that we figured out. We get even just a little bit more of that storyline in this book, so I am quite enjoying it so far. I'm gonna try and read probably a good chunk of it today, give you guys another update. So far I'm enjoying it, still a very fast-paced read. I probably haven't spent too much time actually reading the book, but I've already made it 60 pages in, which kind of goes to show that it's pretty fast-paced. I will say that I think the chapters, they're about the same, maybe a little bit longer in this book than the other book, which I am liking. I do prefer a little bit longer of chapters. I will continue to read this, and I will give you guys an update, and we'll see how far I get today. It's been a couple of days since last time I updated you guys. I've almost finished the book. I'm about 30 pages from the end of it, as you can see. And can I just say that I am loving this book so much more than the first one. Like, I loved the first one. I didn't give it like a super high rating, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And this one, I'm definitely loving a lot more. There's just a lot of family connection that's kind of going on, and all of the puzzles that the grandfather laid out for this book is all relating back to family, his kids, and then the grandsons and all of their fathers. The first one, they kind of go into detail about how the grandsons and even Avery doesn't really know anything about their dad, so the puzzles are all kind of leading them to their dads and kind of figuring out who they are. Added in a lot more mystery. There's been a lot more threats on Avery's life, so you kind of see how her security detail kind of goes through that and how she experiences those moments and how the brothers are helping her through that. The romances between the two brothers that I mentioned before in the last book continues into this one as well, and you kind of see her pushing and pulling with both brothers and trying to figure out which one am I feeling more connection towards, kind of seeing everything that she's been going through and figuring out all of these mysteries and this information. It's been really a fun, enjoyable read. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish the last 30 pages of this book, probably give you guys an update, just kind of what the last 30 pages entails, my rating for the book. I will say that it is going to be higher than the last one because I'm enjoying this one a lot more, and I will probably continue the series and start reading the final Gambit today as well. But I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of this, and then I will give you guys another update. I have officially finished The Hawthorne Legacy. I finished it late last night. Like I said, I only had like 30 pages left. I just kind of wanted to talk about those last 30 pages because I had a feeling there was going to be something else to it, you know? Something a little bit more, and that it was going to kind of maybe accelerate the end of the story before going into the next book. I also wanted to talk about the romances because I know that I've brought it up quite a few times between two of the brothers and the main girl, Avery. And towards the end of the book, she finally chooses one. And I will say that I'm not 100% sure if that's who I wish she would have chosen. She kind of has a different connection with each of them, and she chooses one at the end of the book and kind of had this character development moment with her story and the will. And one of the last sentences was like, I'm choosing to be bold. And so I'm kind of interested to see where that goes and if she continues to stick with that brother or if things change, events happen, and she kind of chooses the other brother instead. But she did kind of have another life-threatening moment at the end of the book, and afterwards she definitely has a big kind of character development, kind of saying like, I don't want to be a piece of this puzzle anymore, in the sense of I'm not going to be used to get someone else where they need to be. I want to be the one that makes the moves going forward. So I'm really curious to see how she kind of plays that into the next book. I would say my rating's probably going to be a 4 or a 4.25. I haven't settled on which one yet because I kind of wanted to ruminate a little bit over it. Definitely loved this book, and I'm excited to start the final Gambit. I'm just about to do that here now. We'll see. I'll probably update you guys soon again once I kind of start that book a little bit more. I am enjoying that there was a little bit more romance in this one than the first one, so I'm hoping that there's going to be more romance between her and the brother, or maybe both brothers, in the next book. It's definitely getting better, and I'm excited to see where it all goes. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the final Gambit right now, and then I'll probably give you guys an update later. I've only made it about 40 pages into the final Gambit, and can I just say that there's already been an interesting thing that's happened. We actually get a new character that's been introduced, and so she just kind of shows up to this property, and she's already kind of thrown everyone into a loop, like why she's here, what happened, kind of a lot of mystery behind that, if they can trust her, how the brothers have already reacted towards her. So I'm curious to see how that's going to continue to play out and how her role is going to affect all of the characters that are already in the book. I'm going to keep reading and see kind of where the storyline follows, and then I'll give you guys another update. Okay, so I'm about 200 pages into the final Gambit, and oh my god, I'm loving this book so much. There are so many freaking twists and turns in this book. I can't even wrap my head around it. She's really creative about creating the storyline and giving so much backstory that when they find a new piece of the puzzle, it kind of exposes more about everyone's true family history. Oh my gosh, so much has gone on since the last time that I gave you guys an update. There was a bunch going on about the mystery and this new character that I was talking about. She just added like this huge freaking plot twist that I just read about, she ended up needing to go to a chapel that was on the property. And the moment that she had with the other brother, because remember I told you that she chose one, I'm not going to tell you who, just in case if you start reading this book series and you kind of want to figure it out for yourself, but she had this moment in the chapel with the other brother. And there was just so much emotion behind it, and you can tell how they kind of feel towards each other. So just them having that moment was kind of like, darn it, I knew that that's who I had wanted originally for her to be with. I still have maybe about 80 pages left, so I'm curious to see if that connection with those two brothers is going to continue to change and what else lies in store, because they just kind of had this big moment where they kind of figured out one of the next puzzle pieces after this huge moment in the chapel happened. I'm super excited to continue reading this book. I am loving this one so far. I've kind of been off and on with reading it the past couple of days, so it's been a little while since I've given you guys an update, but I am really loving this one. It just keeps getting better with every book, and the mystery and the plot twist that's in this book is huge, and just seeing all the pieces fall into place where they need to be is just absolutely mind-blowing. I'm really, really loving this book so far, so I'm going to probably finish off the last 70, 80-ish pages and give you guys an update and then do a final wrap-up. I know that there's also another book from the same universe, same characters and everything, but from their point of views, the two main brothers that I've been talking about so far. Eventually, I would love to pick that up and read that point of view as well, and maybe do a video on that, just kind of going over seeing everything from their point of view, because you really don't get to see into their minds at all, because this is just told from the point of view of Avery. I'm gonna finish this. I'm really excited about it. I'm also gonna be devastated that this is over, but I'm gonna keep reading this. I'm gonna have a great time. I already know probably what my rating is gonna be, but we'll see how these last 80 pages go. So I'm gonna get on that right now, and then I will let you guys know how it goes. All right, so unfortunately, for the most part, this series has come to an end. I finished the final gambit last night. Oh my gosh. This book was absolutely insane. I loved it so much more than the first and the second books. This is by far my favorite in the series. This book was so good. She did end up staying with the brother that she chose in, I believe it was the last book, was when it kind of really came into fruition. I still don't know how I feel about that. I mean, good for her, but I was kind of hoping it was going to be the other brother, if I'm being honest, just because of his personality. Very protective and stuff like that, and he's kind of been going through some pretty rough things throughout this entire book, and a little bit towards the end of the last book. She kind of had this moment, and apparently she had a lot of secret moments with him between the last book and the start of this book that kind of grew that connection with them. But towards the end of the book, she kind of had this moment with him that I loved. I don't want to spend my whole time trying to find this, and I already am because I'm invested. Well, I couldn't find it, but I know it's just talking about how she loves the brother. She had this moment where, like, she's made all of these choices, and every day is a choice to continue to choose him as who she wants to be with, and that just kind of really hit me, so I loved that. I'll say, though, I'm a little disappointed with the ending, because we had so much lead up, and we had so many things happen in this book that I was really hoping for, like, this sweet ending. And it fell a little flat for me. I was gonna give it 5 stars. And then that ending, I was just kind of like, oh, that's it? So I was a little disappointed about that. Probably rate this book a 4.75. The Inheritance games, I think I rated a 3.75. Hawthorne Legacy, I rated a 4.25, I believe. And then this one, I rated a 4.75. I know in the last clip that I did, I talked about the brothers Hawthorne, which I actually misspoke and got the name wrong. I read that, or seen somewhere, that book is actually just this same plot from these past 3 books, but just told from the two brothers' perspectives. A little, like, the first couple of chapters at the end of this book, and out of the few sentences that I just glanced at when I was seeing how many pages of the next book were in it, it didn't seem like that. So I'm actually going to read those last 2 chapters from the next book right here with you guys, because I want to know what it's all about. The Brothers Hawthorne sneak peek, and I know that it's from the perspective of the two brothers that she kind of had that little love triangle with. I'm gonna go ahead and read that right now. Interesting. So it is not just their two perspectives from this series. It's actually going into the next thing. So they're kind of talking already about kind of the end of the book from one of the brothers' perspectives. And he was kind of saying like, oh, she gave us this task to do in a certain amount of time, and it's been about this much time since the last book, which is kind of interesting, but still told only from the two brothers' perspectives. And they have this thing called 911. Each brother gets one 911 call per year. If they call it in, that means that all the other brothers need to drop whatever they're doing and come. So one of the brothers sent out a 911, and they're kind of all over the world, so we'll see what's in there. But I think overall, my rating for this series is a 4.25, which is pretty solid. I really did enjoy this book series. It got better with each book. It is definitely young adults with barely any romance, but just enough to be like, what's she gonna do with that? I love the puzzles. I love the games. I did really, really enjoy reading this book. And I know that she has another series called The Natural series. And I have the first book, so I'm excited to get into that one as well. And I've heard that if you like the Inheritance game series, you're going to love The Naturals even more. So that's kind of on my radar. But overall, let me know if you've read this series, what your thoughts are on it. If you would recommend reading Brothers Hawthorne, if it kind of adds more to the story and kind of in this little universe. I decided to continue doing more book series, reading vlogs. Did really love this series. It's really, really good. It kind of kept me entranced. Like I said, this last book kind of fell off right at the end. Like the last chapter kind of summed stuff up with the will and everything like that. It doesn't say prologue, but it just says 1 year later. And Avery does this interview with someone and kind of goes into what her plans are and just kind of explains a little bit more about why she did the things that she did. I won't say anything about it because I was just about to, but I just realized that would kind of spoil anything if she continues this series, or maybe it goes into that thing that she's starting in the next book, The Brothers Hawthorne. So I'm not going to say anything, but I'm kind of interested to see if Jennifer Lynn Barnes kind of takes that and run with it. But anyways, that's going to be the end of this video. I really love this series, and if you like mysteries and puzzles and games, quick, fast-paced read, I think you would really enjoy this series. Let me know in the comments below if you've read it, how your thoughts are on it, any other book recommendations that you have. But anyways, that is the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope that you stay tuned for what else I have out in store for you. If you are new here, again, thank you so much. I hope that you stick around and that we can become more of friends on here, because that's kind of what I'm looking for, as a good, really community standard, and getting to connect with other people about books, because that's something that I am really passionate about and something that I really love is reading. So if you're just like me and you want to get to know more about books and kind of hear my thoughts on them, stay tuned for what else I have in store. But otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.